Book of John chapter 13. Before the Passover feast, Jesus, knowing that his time had come to depart from this world and return to the Father, showed his boundless love for his disciples until the very end. As their supper concluded, the devil had already stirred the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray Jesus. Understanding that the Father had placed all things into his hands and that he had come from God and was returning to God, Jesus rose from the table. He removed his outer garments, took a towel, and tied it around his waist. He then poured water into a basin and began to wash the feet of his disciples, using the towel to dry them. Approaching Simon Peter, Jesus prompted, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus responded, "You do not understand what I am doing now, but you will later." Peter protested, "You will never wash my feet." Jesus firmly replied, "If I do not wash you, you have no share with me." Peter then exclaimed, "Lord, not just my feet, but also my hands and my head." Jesus reassured him, saying, "One who has bathed needs only to wash his feet, he is completely clean. And you are clean, but not all of you." For he knew who would betray him, thus, he added, "Not all of you are clean." After washing their feet and putting his garments back on, Jesus sat down again and said to them, "Do you understand what I have done for you? You call me Teacher and Lord, and you are right because that is what I am. Since I, your Lord and Teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have given you an example to follow, do as I have done for you." He emphasized, "Truly, truly, I tell you, a servant is not greater than his master, and the one sent is not greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them." Jesus continued, "I am not speaking of all of you, I know those I have chosen. But this is to fulfill the scripture, 'He who shares my bread has lifted up his heel against me.' I am telling you this now before it happens, so that when it does happen, you will believe that I am he. Truly, truly, I tell you, whoever receives the one I send receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me." After these words, Jesus became troubled in spirit and declared, "Truly, truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me." The disciples began to look at one another, uncertain about whom he spoke. One of his disciples, the one whom Jesus loved, was reclining beside him. Simon Peter signaled to him to ask Jesus, "Lord, who is it?" The disciple, leaning close to Jesus' chest, asked him, "Lord, who is it?" Jesus replied, "It is the one to whom I will give this piece of bread when I have dipped it in the dish." So when he had dipped the bread, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, Simon's son. After receiving the bread, Satan entered into Judas. Then Jesus told him, "What you are about to do, do quickly." None of the others at the table understood why Jesus said this to Judas. Some thought that, because Judas had the money box, Jesus was telling him to buy what was needed for the feast or to give something to the poor. Judas, having received the bread, left immediately, and it was night. With Judas gone, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself and will glorify him without delay." Addressing his disciples, Jesus said, "Little children, I am with you only a little while longer. You will look for me, but as I told the Jews, where I am going, you cannot come. So I say to you now, a new commandment I give you, love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." Peter inquired, "Lord, where are you going?" Jesus answered, "Where I am going, you cannot follow now, but you will follow later." Peter insisted, "Lord, why can't I follow you now? I will lay down my life for you." Jesus replied, "Will you lay down your life for me? Truly, truly, I tell you, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times.